what does this look like? If I put them all together, right? What I've got is, there's 0, and where are my other important junctions? A fifth and a third. Okay? Yeah, question.
With this question, why did you take 0 as case? Like, normally with these, isn't it just like what's inside the absolute?
Okay, I have to take it as a case because in each case to simplify out and solve, I have to multiply by x. Right? So multiplying by x means you've got to consider whether it's positive or negative. Okay? So you can see what happens here is quite different to what happens here. Even though the mechanics of it are the same, the negative makes the inequality shift around. Come on.
Why in the first case is the sign swapped?
Because x is negative.
Okay, so
In this case, x is negative. That's what makes this case important.
If you have an equation which says 3 is greater than 2, and you multiply by -1, -3 is not greater than -2, so it has to switch around. So the x.
Are you questioning this step, or like as in from here to here?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so when I multiply through, that, the difference from this line to this line is two things. Number one, I just expanded this. So expansions are fine, okay? But when I multiply through by x, you have to figure out, okay, well, what kind of number is x? I've said at the very beginning, x is negative. And when you multiply by negative numbers, like -1, the inequality switches direction.
But then why wouldn't there be a negative in front of the x?
Because
the x is
It's not changing the value of this variable, it's changing the direction of the inequality. Okay?
imagine you have a number line, and then x can be any number on the number line. X can be a negative number. So if without a negative sign,
You know how you've written case 2 and case 3, right?
Yep.
Aren't you saying that x cannot be equal to third?
You put less than equal.
I'm not finished yet. I'm not finished yet. Okay, Richard.
Do you know how you only have case 1 and case 2 because it's absolute value, right?
No.
But
Case 2 and case 3 come from the absolute value because the junction for the absolute value is a third.
just say there was
So
no
difference.
absolute value, right?
Yep.
Then wouldn't your only case be x is greater than the third?
If I had no absolute value, I have still two cases. I'd have x is less than 0 and x is greater than 0.
Alright, so the
Does that
bottom
make
bit
sense?
as well.
Yeah. You gotta take into account both.
Wait, why is it not x is greater than the third?
Okay, now, what I'm gonna do is stop answering your questions about cases and give you a subtle hint that this is why I might not like this method, okay? But I'm just gonna keep going. Okay? Okay. Yeah, I'm very subtle, you know? Okay. Let me finish answering this, right? I'm taking everything together. I've got x is less than 0, so that's that way, okay? I've got between a fifth and a third, so that's here, okay? And then I've got a third to 1, sorry, I forgot that point, okay? Now, you might have noticed, okay, that's weird, I've got a hole there. Is that really a hole, okay? And the reason, and the answer is, no, it's not, but I can't just say no, it's not. Like, why is it not? Well, I have to test x equals a third.
wait, why is it not a point?
Say it again. Why is it not included in
Why
my
is it not
answers?
a whole?
It's not a whole because it works. So if you test out x equals a third,
So it's
let's
a
just do it.
random exception.
It's not random. It has to do with the junction you get from this function. Okay? So it's indeterminate. It's indeterminate before you test it.
But isn't the original thing like a less than sign, not a less than or equals you sign?
Well, watch what happens. Let's test out x equals a third because it sure looks like, okay, 1/5. Check. Yep. No. And then it just keeps on going. Why is that? Well, let's find out. Okay. So how do you test? You just take your value and you pop it in the left-hand side. Let's do it. Okay. So absolute value of 3 times a third minus 1. Close your absolute value all over a third. Okay. So what's that? That's 0 over a third.
What?
Right? And that's 0, and 0 is less than 2. So a third satisfies the inequality. Okay?
Do we have to test
Is your question about cases? Because if it is, I'm not going to answer.
It was about the 1/3.
I'm going to keep going.
Okay.
If you do it by cases, this is the way it works. Okay? Yeah.
If we have to test that point, does that mean we have to test all the other points?
No, you don't, because the way that I got those inequalities, like where does this a fifth come from? It comes from my algebra. It comes from me solving it. Okay, and the same with the 1 and the same with the 0. Okay, but the 1/3 doesn't come from algebra. It comes from something I introduced, namely the cases. I haven't even neither of these accounts for like greater than. It's not
Can you
inclusive.
solve the problem by doing that in one of the cases having a greater than equal?
Okay, now
Because
then you start
that's
to ask the
how-
question. Well, which case do you put it on? Okay, do you put it in this one or that
You
one?
do it on either of them.
Okay,
Favorite one.
so I'm gonna no, I'm not gonna do it.
Oh,
I'm
no,
not
no,
gonna.
I'm just really confused.
I'm gonna shut the door. Sorry,
No.
if it's completely irrelevant, you can ask me later. You can ask me because I'm gonna run out of time. I'm seriously gonna run out of time.